Hey y'all, Marquita Woods here, and this is my individual career project presentation. So these last 8 weeks have gone by like in a blur. I don't know if it's been the same for y'all, but it definitely has like blinked on by. But I'm grateful to have taken this class to learn more about how to become a more devoted job searcher by doing research, building professional relationships, and networking. Although my major is in English education, on track of being a high school teacher, I could definitely see myself teaching at the post secondary level sometime in my career. So I decided to research English language and literature teacher post secondary, and I had the opportunity to interview CSU's very own Dr. Ricky Ginsburg, to gather more information on her career. So, what is post-secondary teachers? What do they do? So, most post-secondary teachers work in public and private colleges and universities, professional schools, and junior or community college. Most work full-time, although part-time is common. In large colleges or universities, they may teach courses, conduct research or experiments, publish original research, apply for grants to fund their research, or supervise graduate teaching assistants. In small colleges and universities or in community college, they may spend most of their time teaching courses and working with students. Work with colleagues to develop or modify the curriculum for a degree or certificate program, including in person, online, or hybrid delivery of course material. They stay informed about changes and innovations in their field, and they serve on academic or administrative committees as needed. So, according to onet.org, these are the essential traits of a post secondary educator. I wanted to point out and make mention to the two highlighted, or actually the underlined, not highlighted, areas. One under the knowledge, under arts and humanities. Dr. Jessica Jackson, which is also a CSU professor slash historian, loves to say that history and archaeology brings context to anything that you're discussing. Um, for an example, when it comes to English, for instance, a story within a book takes place back during the civil rights movement of the 60s and 70s. People should know, the surroundings or what was going on during that time in order for them to be able to appreciate it being in a story, and to make it effective. And so, as an English teacher, it is important to know the necessity of literacy in all other fields, which is also why math and science is there. Reading comes with everything that we do. You won't be able to be successful in life unless you know how to read. So, being an English educator, whether it is elementary, or primary, secondary, or post secondary, is very important. And then I also underlined the points under ideas and logic, because these two things should be something that educators should allow students to co-create with them. Teaching shouldn't be just for the formation of the educator. You should definitely get your students involved as well. So, these are the personality traits of being a post secondary educator. So, for integrity, of course, following FERPA and other laws, being trustworthy, always having students' best interests at heart, cooperation, being a team member, a team player with students and their families, your colleagues, administrators, other community stakeholders, such as organizations that offer support to students, tutoring services, the whole nine. Dependability is knowing that people may need to count on you and to be there for them. Showing up, being there, offering feedback and assistance when needed, which also kind of ties into cooperation. Adaptability and flexibility in the education world, especially. Things can change constantly with the book bans, with parents and other local organizations voting towards different things that affect teachers. You must be adaptable and flexible for whatever comes your way. This also includes using feedback forms from students, parents, your network to change things up in your course, and being flexible with work, and being flexible allows students to make mistakes, for you to make mistakes, and allows for more teaching experiences, even if it includes you having to reteach some things, or just creating a space where, if things seem to go a little bit further than what you originally planned for, being able to loosen those plans up a bit. Having self control is next, and that's just having patience and a high tolerance level, giving yourself grace and keeping cool under pressure, and finding times and ways to take care of yourself and doing things that you love, because in this world, in any career, like, it's very vital for you to take care of yourself. And overall, the umbrella of having self-control, and especially in the education world of being a teacher, this could be a very challenging and demanding role. And then last but not least, concern for others. Just taking other people into consideration, having empathy, showing sympathy, and also having everyone's best interest at heart as well. So, I had the opportunity of interviewing, or for my informational interview, interviewing Dr. Ricky Ginsburg, who is an associate professor of English education here at Colorado State University. I have this big smile on my face because Ricky is amazing. She is a mother of three. She's a wife. She's a writer. She's an educator for educators. She's a researcher, and she's also the director of the Black, Indigenous, and Teachers of Color, or the BITOC Collective. And she's a lover of YA Lit, who's inspired my love for it as well. She started off as a high school teacher after receiving her English, or her bachelor's and master's in English education at the University of Connecticut, and continue working while getting her master's. She just made tenure, and just got the position of associate professor. What that means for her is she can become a full professor in the next 6 years, depending on her publications, which she informed me that CSU is a research one school, which means if you do find a position in a research school, it's a part of your job. So it's a big part of how you make money, how you keep your job, just all things good. So she makes sure that she makes time for that. She was encouraged by her associate professor when she was getting her BA, to apply for the doctoral program. And even though she really enjoyed working with her high school students and teaching at high school, she really thought that, it'd be a good fit and more room for her to be able to become more beneficial to herself, her family, as well as the students' lives that she'll be changing in her positions. So she decided to go ahead and sign up for the doctoral program at UConn once again. Um, she's a part of the different committee teams, especially in the School of Education Committee, that offer curriculum instruction for the English education program. Um, like I said, she has to write in her spare time since this is imperative to her position. So she has a lot of different publications. Her book just came out on specifically instructing high school teachers to teach writing in their class, which means, she does a lot of writing. That's one thing that came up a lot in the interview. So, a lot of writing when it comes to maybe so just the research behind the portion of her her position, but also for her position. And it's something that she really enjoys doing. So, a lot of writing. She works late nights, being a mother, and then working a full time position. She finds herself giving herself from 5 to 8 to play with her 3 sons, get time to relax, maybe catch up on some pleasure reading. And then once they go to bed, she's working, writing, sending back emails, checking in with students, planning for her next day. Some of the skills and experiences that she discussed, one of the biggest things that she made mention of is you can't teach about teaching without being in the world, working with students, and having an experience of actually being a teacher, especially being an educator for educators. She felt like it would be imposter syndrome if she didn't have that experience of working with different type of students, not just on a college level. She also said that just all of her life experience, so her experience as a parent influences her teaching styles of like homework, workload, things like that. She also uses students as inspiration. She always redevelops her courses based on feedback, and students also help motivate her to research even the more. Her career goals is, of course, making tenured, was one that she was able to check off, but she does see herself becoming a full professor, which can happen in the next 6 years now. But she also would like to open the center, focusing on incorporating diverse literature into classroom and also combating censorship. She's thinking more so like a nonprofit, and more initiative based, and especially that will support students of color, people of color, teachers included. Um, Her most rewarding moment was last year. She was nominated for Best Teacher by one of her students who graduated, but she didn't get the award. But it was just fascinating to her because it was being judged from a student level more so than just like getting praises and stuff from her colleagues. One of the biggest challenges that she faced in her current position was during the pandemic, they didn't have enough staff for the education courses. So the few that they did have were working more or have teaching more classes than they usually did, as well as um, most of the classes weren't being offered to those students. But now they just hired 2 other people of color to their education, to the education program. So hopefully it'll balance things out for her. As far as supervising things or people, she manages student workers like TAs and things like that. The advice that she gave me was go out and teach for at least 5 years because it seems to garner a different level of respect from students. And also, she also mentioned several times of emailing her, and she'll get me connected to doctoral programs and even master's program if I feel like CSU isn't the best fit for me to follow that passion or um, that goal. And then before doing all of that, just knowing what kind of classes that I want to teach. She is specifically the English education professor. So she teaches people in the education program that are going into teaching. And she did say that there's other classes and courses that could be taught. So just knowing what I want to do before doing anything. One thing that she said that someone or that she wishes someone would have told her within her first year or just within this was during her time was to set more time to write, which is crazy because, like I said, the whole interview, she was saying how important it is to write. But she did say that if she did write more, even including writing grants, it would have been more beneficial to her. The keys to her success was making sure she looked at what the university valued and making sure that it aligned with her own values. She also looked into the criteria for tenure and public codes. She applied for 6 different schools, but she accepted CSU because her top two was was a college in the South. And based on who she is as a Native American, who is very vocal and passionate about her culture, as well as being someone who fights against and stands up for BIPOC and BIPOC, uh, the community of BIPOC, and not stand up for them. Oh gosh, I can't believe I said that. I'm sorry, you guys. But I meant to stand up against the oppression and just um, the systemic attacks that people of color go through. She didn't feel like the South, being in the South, would agree with that. And so when the position or when CSU called her back to accept for her to offer her the position, she accepted it. Okay, so my key takeaways from the interview with Ricky was the first thing is I just really enjoyed talking to her. I always enjoy talking to her. I'm glad that I'm in this program to have met her because she's just so fun. She's such a light, and you could tell that she's really passionate about everything that she does, and that she has a deep love for everything that she talks about. Her position as a associate professor, as a mother, as a Native American, like the list goes on. And she just really takes that to heart, which is enjoyable to see. She encouraged me to use my life experiences to my advantage. Being a mother, coming from the South, and working with international youth, all of these things are strengths and can help me obtain skills that will better my role as an educator. Wanting to make a difference in the lives of those around me is an essential takeaway because it allows me not to be selfish and to know that I'm on this earth to nurture, inspire, motivate, and educate the future of humanity. And making a difference means I'm helping co create the future. And who wouldn't want to do that? Also, finding a school, whether it's for work or further in my education, that aligns with my values. That's something Ricky said about knowing she wanted to further her education and deciding to stay at UConn because of the relationships that she built with her advisors and professors, the one that encouraged her to get the PhD, and later choosing CSU over the other schools just based on the opportunities it could allow her and offer her, and something that she could continue to grow, and also be there for BIPOC students and teachers. Keep learning, growing, and researching is vital to any career, but especially as a role of an educator, because the more you know, the more you can teach others and be a valuable member of society. And the last one, no matter who you are, what you do in life, and or where you may be, YA Lit can teach you a few things about life. It's also a great way to build empathy, enjoy life, and in the world of education, build deeper connections with students, which we all should strive to do. It's enough bad things going on in the world to where we need a little joy. And even though most books, even the books that we may usually read outside of YA Lit, may offer different perspectives and things. And so it's always good to just have a deeper connection and be able to allow yourself to have access to those differences. So the career pathway to post-secondary teaching, I'm a bit upset. Well, I'm not upset. I'm not upset anymore. I've come into terms with just being informed that unless I take summer classes, I'm not scheduled to graduate until spring 2024, which is a big bummer, because I'm really ready to be done with this bachelor's degree. It's been a long road, you guys. Um, and I also want to just go ahead and start fresh on getting my master's, like just starting anew, closing the chapter, um, in or closing one chapter to start a new one. And also, I feel like for summer courses, you have to be real particular or real disciplined when it comes to doing the work, because they have, or summer courses are usually fast paced. And that, I struggle with keeping up on a regular 16-week um semester, and having to like jam pack it in 4 weeks, or I think the most is like 8 weeks. It's kind of, I don't know if that's gonna be my cup of tea. But also, another part in graduating a semester later is, I'll be able to build better and stronger connections between myself and my classmates, and the instructors that I've had the privilege of learning from. And it'll give me a chance to put more time and research into my after the BA plan, which may follows like this. So I know that it may be extremely hopeful to land a teacher position fresh out of school, but I know how planned happenstances has worked for me in the past thanks to this course. So I'm keeping my faith and doing my part. I'm confident I'll find something. And then Ricky suggested that I do that for 3 to 5 years. So in addition to um, getting or landing a position, I will also start, or I will teach while I get my master's. I might stay at CSU because I had the amazing support from Ricky and all the other English and education professors that I've met, and especially now since the English department is now mostly people of color, which is kind of a big deal in a predominantly white institution. But of course, I'll still do research and make sure that I find a program that aligns with who I am and what I want to do. And then later, I will do the same when it comes to getting my PhD, which I'm not sure if you can see because on my screen, it looks like I'm covering that spot. Hopefully, I'm not. But the last thing on this little timeline is getting a PhD, if that is still within my passion when it comes to that time. So, another portion that I wanted to include in this was my passion for world connection and being culturally knowledgeable of different cultures, and different places and things. And because I'm a sucker for traveling, and I believe that the best way to get two giggles from one tickle is to teach abroad. So, according to the International TEFL Academy, the three top paying countries for English abroad positions are Dubai, Japan, and South Korea. And I highlighted those different colors because, green is money, my favorite color. But Japan and South Korea are like within $500 apart from each other, which I found interesting. The gold countries, Turkey and Honduras, are places that I've always wanted to travel. And the red places, Mexico, Spain, and Nigeria, are places where I already have people and know people and have, community to where I know that I can get a job in those countries based off of them. And it's just something that I want to expose myself to. I believe that the more you know, the more valuable you are, and that could be more valuable to society, more valuable to my community, and of course, more valuable to any position that I have. And I also have always wanted to be a world traveler. Like, it's one thing to read a book about, somebody in Paris, but I would rather like be in Paris and read the book at the same time to get that experience. And I feel like within this profession of teaching, whether if it is just on a high school level, which will be like entry level when it comes to my degree, or even on a more advanced and post secondary and being a professor. These are experiences, like my experiences will be able to offer me more to my students, whether it's, showing them pictures or just being able to write about those experiences off will also offer and shed light to not only my students, but anybody who reads them. And so, last but not least, this liberal arts and meaningful work course has been amazing. Even though I did sign up for this just on the strength of getting that one credit to get my scholarships, it has to be on the list of at least top 10 best decisions that I've made within the last few years. But yeah, so my key takeaways is if teaching doesn't work out, I lose my passion or experiences burnt out or whatever that could happen on a long list of things that could happen. I now know with a degree in liberal arts, there are many different careers I could enjoy. Um, Networking may give me crazy fear and anxiety, y'all. It's the worst. But it's totally worth going through the motions. Ricky and the other professors have all offered to vet me for different positions, schools to further my education, and just being an overall support to me as a student, as a person. And during an assignment in my educational technology course that I'm also taking, we had to create a profile on Twitter. And I've been able to establish a few connections with folks. And despite the past, I'm actually willing to give LinkedIn another try thanks to this course. The informational interview is for the win. They're a very helpful source to get details on positions. Even if you don't have the intentions of following that career path, it's good to know the ins and outs of other careers. And if you're able to find someone who doesn't mind giving you a few moments of their time, and if you don't feel like or you don't mind filling out or cranking out a couple of interview questions, it's good to know. And even if you're just curious, I'm thinking about doing more informational interviews. I did want to look into um, a different type of professor. Maybe Dr. Jackson, since she's more of a historian, just to see if her pathway was different. But who's to say? I can probably interview one of you guys in the future. And the last thing, research, research, research. Researching is a fundamental tool and should be used in everything, whether it's a job, moving to a new place, purchasing a big ticket item, or even just trying a new restaurant. It can help you get acclimated, accustomed, and knowledgeable on things that may interest you. So, you guys, this is the end of my presentation. It has been such a privilege and a great opportunity to get to know you guys, even though it was in the discussion. I'm very excited and looking forward to watching your presentations, like getting to hear your voice, seeing your face. I'm kind of weird like that. Even though like I'm very much introverted, I still get, that joy and the good energy from being around people, and we've spent the last 8 weeks getting to know each other by ways of this course. But I hopefully we're able to still, build connections for you guys that are graduating this semester. And then within the next year, I wish you the best in all your endeavors. Well, actually, for everybody, not just the graduates. But for y'all that are still sticking around, maybe got a couple of extra semesters like me, please don't hesitate. You can add me on LinkedIn, add me on Twitter. And yeah, hopefully we can keep the connections flowing. So thanks, you guys. Bye.